Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Higher Movement Mastermind. I'm Shira Lotzar, your host today, and I'm going to be solo, looks like, because Vern Schellinger isn't able to join us today. Hopefully Rick Webb will pop in at some point. So really my expertise, as some of you may know, is in the private sector. So if you have federal questions, that's not my domain. I would definitely refer you to Corliss Jackson at Federal Job Results. So if that's Corliss at federaljobresults.com, if you have any questions about the federal government. If Rick Webb is able to join us, he's in the government contracting sector, so you could potentially direct GovCon questions to him. But anything else, I am certainly able to handle. And we continue to have a small crowd because people are getting jobs. So that is a good thing. So let's just open up the lines here and see who has a question that I can help you answer. Is this going to be a really short call?
Well, I have a question. I think I know what the answer is. You read through a job description and you find a typo or two. Do you just ignore it?
Yes.
Or is there a tactful? Okay, that's what I thought.
Totally ignore it. Yeah, they're going quickly. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to give them grace, like you hope that they would give you grace if you make a typo or two on your resume. I mean, not always the case, but yeah, I would not. It says, I don't think it says anything about the company. It's just some quick moving person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Who else?
I have a question. I had an interview this week and that compensation situation came up again, and it's hard to believe because, me being HR, I should know this like the back of my hand. And from my perspective, I do, but you never know when you talk to people, what you gonna get. But Shira, I pulled out what you said to me, I should say, the team, about that range thing. And I gave I quoted you. I'm looking for a salary in the range of, and then give one number, your lowest number.
No, your highest number. Your highest number.
Oh,
I gave my number. Yeah. Oh, that's the point of it. Yeah, that's the whole point. So let me repeat it. Let me give you the concept again. Okay. So this is like negotiating for a house. Okay. So the seller is going to start high, the buyer is going to start low, and then they meet in the middle, something like that, right? No. So you're looking to give them the highest number possible, so that if you need to, you can negotiate a little bit lower. Okay. So the phrase that I typically use is, I'm seeking a total cash compensation package in the one number range. Now you don't have to say range. You can just say around around X number. Okay. So let's say I'm just making up a number 150. Okay. So I'm seeking a total cash compensation package in the $150,000 range, or around $150,000. That 150 would be considered your high number, whatever your realistic, what I call your happy dance number is. Now, one of two things will happen. Either they'll say, great, and they'll move on, which means that you're in the range. You're in their range, right? If you're above their range, that's when they're going to go quiet for 3 seconds, clear their throat, and go, well, actually, the highest we can go for this role is 135. Do you have any flexibility? In which case you say, well, I'm seeking a total cash compensation package around 150, but can we talk about benefits? Oh, okay, says the recruiter. Sure. And that's how you bridge the delta, right? Meaning you're saying to them, I'd be willing to take a lower base comp if we can talk about benefits. And so you're kind of pre-negotiating your compensation package long before the offer. And again, it's a classic negotiation. Start high, and then you can always walk down.
Well, what I end up doing, I guess I heard that wrong. I gave them my number, but I verbalized, this is my minimum base requirement. If it's lower than this, we can't,
Right. That typically means that they're not going to give you more than that.
Well,
they're going to try to get away with the lowest.
And that's fine. That's what I'm saying. That's fine. If they give me the minimum, I can live with it.
Okay, so Sonia, so here's the thing. I realize you can live with that, but I have to preach for a second, okay?
Okay.
All right. We have pay inequity in this country. Full stop, period, end of statement. Okay. Particularly for individuals who are typically marginalized. Okay. Of all sorts. It could be gender-based, race-based, whatever. But typically we have pay inequity. And I am on a mission, on a quest, okay, to help every person to boost their salary to start to level out this pay inequity. Employers are trying to get away with whatever they can. I understand they're trying to make a good business decision. I get it. I don't begrudge them per se, but wages have been flat and falling in this country for the last 30 years. Okay, flat and falling. And we need, every single one of us needs to do what we can to lift those numbers up wherever possible for yourself personally, because the best time to negotiate is the front end, right? Because other than that,
That's
you get
correct.
COLA increases 2 to 4%. So your best time to negotiate is right up front. On top of which, it's rising tides for everybody.
Mhm.
You negotiate higher, everybody, and then the wages, right? Hopefully will,
Right.
start to increase. That's part of why I share that with you.
Okay. Well, I did what I what I said, and I got the interview.
You got the interview.
To the next level, I'm waiting to hear the time that they want. The next step, I have to go into the office and meet the president and whoever, all that.
Yeah.
And I think from then, if I, make the cut, then I think I may have it. Because the job reports to the president. So if he likes you, you're in, I'm assuming. I got the knowledge they need. It will be a lot of work. I don't care because I haven't worked in quite some time and I want to work. And I don't mind working in the office. I'm seeing more and more people telling me, I don't know if it's just because of my job, my function, they want us in the office, especially in the for-profit world. Nonprofit, you're still remote, but in the for-profit, GovCon, all that, they want you in the office.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with that. But I got to remember what you said, get the highest and then trim it down.
Always. It's
I was
negotiation.
just so happy to get the
I know.
get the interview.
Frankly, Sonia, frankly, that's actually exactly when you need to be thinking about going after the highest, is when you're feeling like you're feeling. Okay. When a job
Okay.
seeker has been in transition for a long time, it's very easy to say, I'll take whatever you'll give me. But then you have buyer's remorse afterwards, right? You're like, oh, I should have negotiated higher.
Yeah.
And that happens, especially in these kinds of economies, right? In long-term transition, folks will just say, I'll take whatever they give me. But the reality is that no matter what, you're still a worker's worth his or her wage. You're still worth a lot, right? And you want to push it as much as you can.
But this is what I'm finding, Shira, in the DMV. I think DC and Maryland they are quick to get your salary, your equity. They try to align you. But Virginia, oh my goodness, I've seen directors of HR and they want to pay $80K. That's not, and they got 500 people. That's not realistic.
Not at all.
By any stretch.
No.
And so I'm finding a lot of that in Virginia, and I don't know if it's because it's a large base for open position. I don't know what it is, but it's you really have to work hard when you talk salaries in Virginia. Okay, and that's all I'm saying. But thank you for that input. I'm going to remember that. I do have another interview today. If it comes across, I will use it.
Good.
Thank you.
Excellent. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Who's got another question?
I was wondering if you go into get an interview or whatnot, and then you have to do your homework. Do you have like a playbook on how to go about doing company research?
It's a great question. Yeah. So what I would do is the first thing is really scour the website. Now, that might sound kind of obvious, but I don't mean it in a casual way. I mean, read it, digest it, and analyze it. Really analyze it. Connect the dots. look at their service offerings, look at the value proposition, look at who their customers are, look at how they're messaging that website. What are they really offering? What
if their website has like they're like a big company, they have like so many divisions or products, and it's like a book at that point.
Well, sure. I mean, then at that point you can't really do much about that other than, whatever job you're applying for. Go ahead and, sort of research that area as much as you can, in terms of that division or that department that you're going to be, working for. Do what you can to do some strategizing around the website. That's the very first thing. Second thing is go to LinkedIn. Okay. And in LinkedIn, pop in the name of the organization into the search bar, hit enter. And then what'll happen is their their company page will come up, their LinkedIn page. Click on where it says the number of employees, click on that number. Okay. And then their employee base will come up. Okay. Now, what you can do is you can start to do some dot connecting as well. Start researching people in the department that you're going to be working in, other kinds of people who are related. What do they do? Read the descriptions. Now, I understand not everybody's LinkedIn profile is fully up to date. I get it. A lot of people don't fill out their experience section. They don't fill out their about section, but some do. So to the extent that you can do some research, right? And start to read the job descriptions, if you will, of the various employees, that will help you to start to connect the dots to see, what do people actually do there? What is this company? So you're almost like mapping it out. Okay. Like who does what are the titles? You can almost do a little, if you can figure out like an organizational chart, kind of, to see who's who, and oh, this is the director and that's the manager, and oh, they're in the same department. You can start to map it. That's the second thing. The third thing is, speaking of LinkedIn, what you can do is also see if you can get any informational interviews with folks. So if there is somebody there that if you're first level connected, that's great, but you likely won't be. If you have any second level connections that are in that department, you could potentially have your first level connection refer you into the second level and say, hey, I'm going to be interviewing this company, or I haven't gotten an interview yet, but I'm interested in researching. Is somebody in that department willing, figure out if that person's willing to talk to you, just to give you a little bit of intel around the culture, around some of the strategic priorities of the organization, the priorities of the department, anything about the hiring manager. In fact, I just recently had that happen. I had a colleague who noticed I was connected to somebody on LinkedIn who works at the company that she's applying for. And she said to me, hey, Shira, would you introduce me to that guy? Because I'd like to learn more about the organization. I said, sure. And I put them in touch, and now they're scheduling a call. Okay. So it's not a big deal. You can do that if you're trying to research with the organization, but only use that step after you've done your real website research, after you've looked at LinkedIn and looked at kind of the hierarchy and who does what. Then you'll be armed with more information should you decide to talk to somebody there. Does that help?
Yeah. Is there a way to track down an organizational chart, or is that like information they keep close to the vest?
That's close to the vest. That is in the annals of the HR department.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to do a little bit of dot connecting for that. All right, who else?
In regard to connecting on LinkedIn, is it a good or a bad idea to connect with HR people? I recently connected with an HR person because one of my connections said, go ahead and connect. I don't know this person, but I'm connected to them. Do they feel intimidated that you're going to be pretty much pushing them? And because I asked for, just some time to talk about the culture, and they emailed me back. They said they were busy, but here's the scoop on the culture.
Right. So it all depends on when in the process you're connecting with them. Okay. If you are connecting with them or before you apply to a job, you're just networking, you just want to connect. That's one thing. That's fine. In fact, specifically recruiters, go ahead and connect with recruiters as much as possible. All kinds of recruiters, corporate recruiters, third-party recruiters, just connect with recruiters. HR people a lot of them recruit too, so it's fine, for you to reach out, and hopefully they'll accept your invitation. Once you've already applied to the job, it can feel a little, you can still do it, but it can feel a little bit pressuring to the HR person once you've applied, because to her point or his point, they're typically very busy. Okay, they don't typically have the time to just sort of talk about the culture, talk about this and that. They are busier than a one-arm paper hanger. Okay, and they can't. They feel actually very pressured when job seekers come to them and just sort of say, "Hey, I've applied, but I want to learn more about the organization." They're also like, "Look, don't call us. We'll call you." Right? If we think that you're appropriate, then in the interview, we're happy to answer all of your questions. But otherwise, it's pretty pressuring. Does that help?
Thank you.
Sure.
I have another question. It may be a two-parter. The first part is, I applied to a job at a company that's I would love to work for. I mean, love to. And it's one of those best places to work. It's got that certification or whatever. Yeah. And I've heard a lot about it. I sent my resume in through LinkedIn, and I saw them looking at me, the recruiter, but I didn't get a call. Should I go ahead and proactively reach out to that recruiter, or just let her kind of?
You could, but Sonia, I want you to reverse the roles. Okay. I want you to walk a mile in her shoes right now. So you are her, and you've posted a search on LinkedIn, and you've looked up the candidate, and you didn't make the outreach for whatever reason. How would you feel if the candidate now reached out to you after that? What would you?
I probably, sure. I'm pretty mild-mannered when it comes to people approaching me. Mm-hmm. I don't push back, because I understand human minds. I understand when people looking for a job. Sure. And I mean, so I'm pretty mild-mannered. But it's such a wonderful company. I wanted a chance.
Look, Sonia, there's nothing wrong with you reaching out. Okay, if you do it very professionally and very gently, you just have to manage your expectations. 9 times out of 10, if the person was interested, they would have reached out. Now that said,
that's true, and that's the reason. I remember you saying that, and that's the reason I haven't reached out. But I wanted your professional.
Right. That said, 1 time out of 10. 2 times out of 10, I don't know. They looked at you, maybe they're interested. They put you, I don't know, on some chart and said, I'll get back to her. I'll, reach out to her later. And you proactively reaching out might prompt them a little more. It's possible, but you definitely don't want to say, oh, I noticed you were, looking at me and just to reach, you could just reach out and say, heck, I presume you've applied already. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So I, recently applied to this role, highly interested in it, look forward to hearing from you about my candidacy, that kind of thing. Very sort of nonchalant, very professional. Maybe it's another tickler for them to maybe, but that's it. You don't want to push it. Just be professional.
I got it. Part 2. I got a call from a third-party recruiter who found me somewhere I'm everywhere, so I don't know where it was. But she found me, questioned me, like what I said, and said she would send me to the client. And she said if the client wanted me, then they will go for the second step. She sent me to the client within 30 minutes of me talking to her. So I took that as a good situation. And I did get a communication from the client, said, oh, you're going to the next level. What I need you to do right now is complete this application. I did something that they sent me, and I did. And I haven't heard from them. It's a huge organization. If I said it, everybody on the call would know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And it's a huge organization. They got a lot going on right now. I I'm wondering, I'm going into the third week. I haven't heard anything since I did the application.
I see.
Should I reach out
would.
or just wait?
I would. I mean, I would reach out one time just to see what the status is. Now, again, you may or may not hear anything. So again, manage your expectations around that. But yeah, feel free to reach out one time.
Okay, because we're going into the third week. I kind of chalked it off to, I know they're busy. I mean, it was in the paper, how many people they're trying to hire and all this kind of stuff.
Got it.
And so because I understand that, I wasn't really sweating it because like I say, I'm one job and they got thousands to fill.
Yeah.
And but I was wondering, am I being too lax on it?
I mean, remember they will, if they're interested, they will reach out. That said,
yeah,
you're welcome to do a prompt just to see.
Yeah. Because I'm beyond shadow of doubt, they have high volume recruiting beyond the shadow of doubt. And you know what that could mean. One person can have 150 jobs they're trying to fill, and they got a boatload of recruiters.
Oh yeah.
But so I kind of concluded that I'm just one of many. Mm-hmm. And but okay, I will reach out. Like I said, we're going into the third week. I haven't heard anything. And I just chalked it off to they were in the midst of high volume recruiting, and I wanted to be calm about it.
Yeah,
but okay.
But yeah, one touch base is good.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Shira.
You're welcome. Patrick, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, just sort of a follow on to that. If you're flying to you guys can hear me okay?
Kind of. You're a little bit faded.
I have some problems. All right, I'll type it, I think. Thank you.
Did you say you're going to type the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Move on. I'll type it.
All right. Well, while Patrick is typing that question, I'm happy to answer another quick one.
So this is kind of related, and maybe this is a question that we can take offline later, Shira, but I'm actually very interested in what you do. I enjoy, strangely, I've had friends who are applying for jobs recently, and I've reviewed their resumes for them, and the feedback has been pretty positive. Yeah. I think one of those friends got a couple interviews, and so I enjoy doing that kind of thing. I like paying it forward. I had a lot of help in getting my current job, and so I was just wondering if you had any thoughts. If you wanted to share how you got into this field of work, and then also if you know of any community organizations that are helping people get jobs, maybe people who are out of work, have been out of work for a long time, are trying to get back on their feet, anywhere that I can kind of volunteer.
Let me answer that
recruiter.
Yeah, let me answer that question first. So one of the groups that you would want to volunteer for is the Career Network Ministry. It's out of McLean Bible Church. They have a weekly, well, actually these days, because it's all virtual, they actually have stuff every single day of the week. Their main event is on Tuesday nights, but they have other sessions as well. And I could introduce you to their main volunteer, the volunteer who heads the whole thing. His name is Bob Korzanutsky, and they have lots of volunteers. In fact, there's a woman named Chris Westbrook who has been on our call here at HMM once or twice now, at least once, I think a couple of weeks ago. She's a volunteer there. In fact, that's how I know her. Somebody introduced me to her. And anyway, so she's actually I met her through Joe Weech, but anyway, so she's a volunteer and she reviews resumes and things of that nature. So that's one place. Now, Sonia, you're with the HR Leaders in Transition group, right? Which is a group of HR job seekers. I don't know if that
it's senior level. You have to be director or above. It's a senior level HR.
Okay.
job seekers, and we kind of do what we do here, but it's all focused on the HR function.
Gotcha.
And talking you through how to how the process, because it's more difficult at the senior level than it is at just the regular professional level, because at the senior level for an interview you might have to give a presentation, develop and present a presentation to a panel, and helping people through things like that, advice, networking, resources, things like that.
Okay. So may or may not work for you, Michelle, but that's another group I know is, volunteer based. Then there are several other career, free community career groups like ours. One is called 40 Plus, so 40PLUS. Another is called Career Confidence, so career-confidence.org. And then there's a group called JCA, which is the Jewish Council on the Aging, and they have a program called the Career Gateway. So these are several groups that are prominent in the area that have job seekers, right, and use volunteers. I just happen to know the CNM, the one from the Clean Bible Church. I happen to know that they, in particular, use volunteers a lot for exactly what you're talking about: resume review or interview prep. That they have like a cadre of people who do that. Okay, so and as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I actually started as a recruiter. I'm still a recruiter, but I started as a recruiter, and I was doing that for 15 years before I started my own business. So, so then I started my business in career coaching, and so my coaching and my branding work and resume work is an outgrowth of my recruiting work. So that I just have an unusual story that way.
Thank you. If you could share that contact you have at McLean, that would be great.
Oh, for sure.
And
actually, do me a
Sonia,
favor.
if you want to share yours too,
would
be awesome.
Yeah, you know what? I will. Let me do this. Let me put his contact information here.
Could I add one thing to what you said, Sharon? There's one other big networking group that I think she should be aware of. It's not through Meetup though. It's Patricia Rumboletti's Bulletproof Your Career for Life. She does a call every Thursday night. There's like 600 people on, and they put their contact information in the chat. It's a really big network. And she also gives very good presentations.
I've heard of her. Yeah.
Anyone else here go to her thing?
I've never gone, but somebody recommended it. She also has a TED Talk.
Yes.
Mitch, do you have her information, Eric, that you can put in the chat?
Hold on, someone here wants my attention. I'm sorry.
No worries. Or Karen, if anybody knows her information.
So you can just Google Bulletproof Your Career.
Okay,
I'll put the phrase in, but just Google Bulletproof Your Career will come right up. She does send out a link each week. You have to register, and she sends out a link each week that she wants not to share. But yeah, she has a book out that's called Bulletproof Your Career, and she's also currently doing a course based upon her book.
Thanks, everyone.
Can I ask, who is that? Scott, did you mention that? What does that mean, bulletproof your career?
Her TED Talk. Well, it's very interesting and I don't know how this relates because I've never been on her call. But my understanding is that she's trying to help people to, how do I put this,
so that so that even if you get a job, you'll never be in the situation of having to look for a job ever again.
Yeah, because there's so much downsizing and stuff that I guess she's trying to help people to protect themselves in terms of what is this? Is it skill building? See, I've never been on her call.
She does different presentations, but negotiation, salary. I mean, the normal thing that everybody does, but the main underlying concept is always to be networking, building and maintaining your network and maintaining everything so that the minute you get your notice, you can say, I'm in the market, and people know you so well, they'll be offering you the contacts and ready to hire you.
That makes
right
sense.
away.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, because a lot of people when they get a job, they put their head down and they forget to network, right? It just do. I mean, you just get busy with life and work. And then typically people start networking when they need a job. Well, guess what? If you're networking while you have a job, when you need a job, you can tap your network.
So I was going to suggest that you look at something like Project Save or even Shore Meetings, because they are people who actually have the positions. And Project Save advertises jobs all the time. I'm
So-
on their list, their distro list, and
Me too. Me too.
So Project
but-
Save, Project Save, for those of you who don't know this, the word SAVE stands for Staffing Alliance of Virginia Employers. So it's really a group of HR people and recruiters who get together periodically. And maybe, I don't know if it's once a month, to
Yeah.
talk about recruiting type issues. But Karen, I didn't realize that they actually posted jobs to the network. I didn't realize that. That's great.
well, they email jobs out when somebody
Mhm.
has a job open, and it's never anything that I'm interested in, but I do get jobs periodically through Mike Bruni.
Yeah.
Is anybody here
see
in
them
sales?
too.
What, Scott?
Is anybody in sales on this call?
Well, I have been in sales before, but anyway.
Another call that's somebody from Bulletproof recommended was Thursday night sales. It starts at 8:05 on Thursdays, and they get about 150 people. It's a lot more interactive. A lot more people get to talk, but there's vice presidents of sales. There's salespeople who actually have jobs, and they talk about their current problems. But there's new people, and like one of the hosts on there currently is hiring like 10 people for his team. But they are new hires, and there's all high-level salespeople that are in the positions to hire.
Are they a meetup? Scott, are they a meetup group?
Oh, it's actually called TNS, Thursday Night Sales. So again, you could probably Google it, and I think they have the same link every week. But I mean, the one thing about them will warn you, it is they will tell, especially overhearing people who know each other in the group talk, the hosts will definitely tell it as it is. They don't hold back. They'll tell you what it is. I mean, they say it's a very closed group because, I mean, obviously they talk about work issues and people know where people work, but it's very, I mean, you keep the stuff there, but they don't sugarcoat it, that's for sure.
That sounds like
Language or
typical
otherwise.
salespeople, right? Typical salespeople tend to be pretty direct.
So I put the link to Pat Ramboletti's Bulletproof Your Career Zoom in the chat. If you go to that site, there'll be a form on that site. You fill out that form, you get an email. And in that, you get that email every Monday from then on. But if you get a link now, it'll give you the link to the meeting that just happened last night. So the new meeting link is sent out every Monday. So probably you shouldn't do this till after Monday, because you'll end up getting the meeting link for the meeting that just happened. So to get next Monday's meeting link, you'll have to do it after. They're sent out Monday morning. And then from there, there'll be a link inside that email. You click that link to register for the meeting, and then they'll send you another email that has the Zoom link. You got to do the register for each meeting individually through the email. It's how they keep track of people, because there's so many people on this thing, and they're trying to keep out the salespeople who are trying to sell to this large network.
Thanks for all that, Eric. That's great.
And honestly, if you ever attended your call and she found out what you did, she'd probably kick you out right away, Shira.
Wait, say that one more time.
If you put in, like, if you attended her call and she knew what you did, she'd probably kick you out.
Yeah, I have no intention to. She doesn't. Why is it? Because I'm a competitor.
Well, no, again,
No.
she's not that. She doesn't want. I guess she keeps it closed to where it's just for job searchers. She doesn't want people selling services or anything else.
Oh no, I understand that. That makes perfect.
I mean, I know other other job people where they consider other people they don't consider their competition. They consider them.
Well, and I happen to be one of those. I mean, look, this group that I have here, this is a community group, right? We're here to help. So I'll have as you've seen, I've had other coaches here, other recruiters. We're all here to serve, like that's the heart of this group. And I understand other groups are not necessarily that way, where it's a little bit more closed. But each to their own. It's fine.
I mean, I know a lot of the job groups, they're local people, and then they have, I don't know if you know Lynn Williams.
Mm-mm.
Up in Pennsylvania. She runs a lot of Pennsylvania groups, and then Bang, which is the higher executive level search groups that are different chapters around the country.
Yeah.
But then she'll promote Brenda Miller and Melanie Woods and all the national speakers, just like everybody else does.
Yeah. Well, lots of groups for lots of folks. So. Anyway. All right, good. So any other job search questions?
Yes. Can you hear me this time?
Yeah, we can, Patrick.
Okay. Yeah, first, I forgot to mention, thanks very much for what you do here. I like the tone of this is great. I really do appreciate what you're doing. My question was sort of a follow on to Sonia's back before, which was, if you're applying to a big company, let's just say, like an Amazon or just like a bigger company that might have a lot of operations and maybe a lot of hiring managers and, divisions and everything else. If my concern when going in is there might be more than one job or multiple jobs that I would apply for potentially. And so my thought is I have to rank which ones, first I'm going to go for this one, second, third, fourth, like that. Once you're into that and you maybe get 3 weeks, you've been waiting 3 weeks and you're in a situation, should I check back? And okay, I check back one time and maybe I don't hear anything, or they say, we've already filled the position, or, you're not a candidate in our minds for this job. What would be your attitude towards applying for your second one and your third one, which might be to a different area in the company, but how do you explain yourself doing that to someone? And would you do it in the first place? And how would you handle that process? And when would you stop?
It's a great question, Patrick. It's a great question. I'm not going to say there's an easy answer to this. Okay. There's not.
I'm sure there isn't.
There isn't. And the reason why there isn't is because recruiters, they want to know that when you apply to a job, that's the job that you're looking for. When you apply to multiple positions, and I realize that's why you're asking. I mean, I know this isn't easy, but the reason why when you apply to multiple positions, they can think that you don't know what you're looking for, right? And that can be confusing for them, and it might have them, they could potentially toss you out altogether. Well, this guy doesn't know what he wants, right? So why should we hire him? Because they're trying to minimize their risk. I always talk about that, and so when they recruit you for or interview you for a job, they're thinking that that's the job you want. Now that said, if it's a large company and they've got multiple of this, similar positions at similar levels across the organization, that's different, because then, you could work at, I'm making this up, you're a marketing manager. You can do it for, business line X, business line Y, business line Z. Sure. That's not a big deal at all. It's when you're going for things that are disparate, where they're not necessarily connected to each other, or there are different titles. And the farther away the jobs are from each other in terms of the functional area and the title, the more likely it is that the recruiter is going to be a little confused and might say, wait, what? This guy doesn't know what he wants. So that's really my best advice. I don't know if I can specifically answer the question of, well, after your first, you waited 3 weeks, and when do you apply to your second? I mean, that's a very nuanced kind of a thing. I couldn't give you any generic advice on that. But if you do happen to talk to, this is okay. If you get to talk to a recruiter, which I understand in this case you're not, but if somebody talks to you, get a live person, that would be the time. If they say, let's say you're in the interview already, they think you're qualified, and then, well, actually you're not really qualified according to them. That's where you can say, well, I did notice some other opportunities, blah, 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 blah. Would it be appropriate for me to apply? Then get their advice on that.
Yeah.
But
okay.
But outside of talking to them, I mean, you're taking a risk. I mean, look, free country, you can do it. But be very judicious, which is obviously what you're trying to be, which is why you asked the question. Be very judicious in how and when you apply to something else that's different in that job.
Okay. And in this example that you're using, is that recruiter working for the company or is it an outside recruiter?
Great question. I was talking more about the corporate recruiter who's working internally because they understand the lay of the land. The third party recruiter may just be recruiting on that one search now, or may not, you never know. Maybe they have a bunch of searches. So if it's a third party, you can still ask the question. They may or may not have the right advice for you, but see how it just really part of it depends on how embedded they are in the organization, how many searches they do, if they really understand HR recruiting process over there, or if they're just doing a one-off search. They'll let you know.
Okay, so can I ask one more kind of far end question about that, which is obviously to be safe, if I applied and didn't get something and I waited 2 years and applied for something else, I wouldn't feel bad about doing that.
Not at all. Not at all.
But would you say even waiting a year or I know it's a nuanced question, but I know.
Yeah, sure. That's a long time. I was referring more to the at the same time kind of thing, within weeks of each other, or even months.
Okay.
But a year, no, I mean, that's pretty far away.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a comment on this, Shira. This same question came up in the HR Lit meeting about a couple of weeks ago. And we have several staffing people that joins the Lit calls, and different staff people have different questions comments, because when you, like what Patrick said, if you got a huge company that has, they can have 50 recruiters, and they each division that they are recruiting for, you may fit that job, but then you also fit the job in this division and all that. And the question was, should you apply for different ones? Like, for instance, one could be director of HR, one could be director of HRBP, one could be director of talent management, all that. And you could qualify for each of them. Yeah. But the question is, should you apply for all? And we didn't really come to a consensus over that, because it depends on the company. If it's a small company, the response was, don't do it, because the recruiter's going to see all the resumes. Mm-hmm. But a big company like Amazon, right? The recruiters and all, they don't even talk to each other because they're so large.
That's right.
They don't know, what the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And the only situation is if you get two recruiters that want you, then you gotta kind of work it out.
Yeah. Yes. We
never did come to a consensus over that. Pardon?
Yeah, I'd say in my opinion, but again, I'm not a corporate recruiter, so it's a little bit hard for me to answer that. My opinion is, to your point, Sonia, when there's different divisions and the recruiters are working on different divisions, it's not as risky, right, to apply to multiple jobs. If they're the same type of job, again, it has to be similar. Mm-hmm. I think that that's pretty much okay. But if it's a small company and they've got 3 jobs and they're kind of disparate, divergent from each other, that can be confusing for the recruiter.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anyone else?
I had a question about federal jobs.
Patrick, actually, before you start, I'm so sorry you didn't hear what I were a little bit late to our calls, so you didn't hear me mention today. We happen not to have a federal job expert. Tenny, who had been here for a while, unfortunately, their group of federal job results has their schedule's a little too busy now to participate on Fridays. So I'm going to go ahead and put in contact information for you so you can ask, because unfortunately I'm just not a federal government expert. Okay, so I'm going to give you Corliss Jackson, who is the head of federal job results. And she said, please reach out to her. Okay.
Yeah, and I have a related question about dealing with someone like her. I've heard of her, and so I'm not sure exactly where I would apply. I have some ideas. How much time can I talk to? How much do I have to figure out on my own before contacting them about what I wanted to do? And then when do they start charging a fee? I assume they start charging a fee.
I don't know. I don't know what, so like, I'm a coach too, right? And my process is I do a 20 to 30 minute free intake call with my clients just to suss things out. To my knowledge, most coaches do that, right? Because we can't even know if we're right for you as an engagement unless we do an intake call. So I'm 99% sure she would do that anyway, just to figure it out. So you guys can have a conversation. You can say, hey, I do or I don't know what I want to do, and figure it out. I mean, I can't imagine she's going to start charging you on the first minute you talk to her. I doubt that. So.
And how do you recommend someone prepare for that 20 to 30 minute call? I mean, just really have your ducks in a row, because you can max out that time.
To explain, I mean, why you're looking to get in the federal government, if you do have a sense as to maybe where you want to apply and why, and really what kind of support you're looking for. That's kind of what, at least that's what I typically ask my clients. I say, my prospective clients, I'm like, tell me a little of your story. How can I help you? What kind of support are you looking for? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm hoping that the person will kind of give me the quick career story, but lead me up to, this is my current situation. Here's why I'm in transition, or here's why I'm looking for a job. Here's the kind of support I need. So in my case, maybe they'll say, resume work, LinkedIn branding, interview prep, whatever, or, hey, I need to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. I get that a lot. And so to the extent that you understand your, what kind of help you need, that will help her to help you better.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Patrick, my understanding is there's another group connected with Career Network Ministry, Federal Career Connections. I haven't done it, but someone brought that name up to me in a conversation.
And I know that Corliss has been a very long time active speaker for them on federal jobs.
Okay.
As well. So yeah, you're right, Ty. Thank you for that. That CNM has a whole section on just on that, so you can get some free advice there too.
Sorry, what do you specialize in, Shira?
Who, me personally?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't typically talk about my business, but here you go.
I'd have to ask somebody else, and I bet.
No worries. I'm happy. Since you asked, I will answer the question. So I have multiple lanes to my highway, as they say. The lane that I think you're interested in is my career coaching and branding lane. And so in that world, I do a number of things. So I'm a brander, I'm a copywriter, and I help to brand people's resumes. So I literally will redo your entire resume, focused on the brand that we craft together, right? Because you need to know your value proposition in the market. Your resume should not just be a laundry list of accomplishment stories. They need to be accomplishment stories that are focused on where you're going, not just where you've been. So we have a 2-hour conversation that's around your brand strategy. It takes another 2 to 3 hours for me to write your resume. And then I also do LinkedIn profile creation. So we'll create a very compelling LinkedIn profile, again, that speaks to your brand and your value proposition. That takes a couple of hours. And that's what I call the brand strategy side of our engagement. I also have the job search strategy side. I'm an expert trainer on LinkedIn. So I'll help you leverage LinkedIn for your searching. I will do networking strategies. I'll help you vet opportunities, prep for interviews, salary negotiations, calm you down when the HR person doesn't call you back in 2 weeks like they said they would, all that stuff, if you want. And everything's a la carte, it's an hourly rate. And so, whether you want branding, whether you want job search strategy, both, some of it, whatever, we can unpack it. So I'll put my contact information in the chat box if you're interested in a 20 to 30 minute free intake call. I'm happy to chat with you about that.
Great, thanks.
And what I'll also do is I'll put in the chat box the link to my website, to my webpage that highlights all the things that I just mentioned, and it has my rates in there as well. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So that link is where you can find more information about what I do and what I charge. Okay. All right. Anything else? we wrapping up early? All right. So let's go ahead and wrap up here. And for those of you who want to stay on the prayer call, I'm happy to take you through that. If not, for everyone else, we're happy to see you next week. And I believe Vern will be back with us, and maybe Rick as well. So we shall see. All right. So everybody have a blessed day. And again, if you want to stay on the prayer call, feel free to do so.